Who else should they be looking at in that case for you, Mark, first? And then I want René's take on this.
Well, the obvious one, obviously, came on. Paul Pogba is the obvious one. Maguire needs to be one. De Gea, traditionally, it's your spine of your team that need to be the ones that are sort of rolling their sleeves up, that are running, steering the ship, keeping everyone on song, getting players working together. And that just hasn't been the case. Today, it definitely wasn't the case. And that's when you see your true leaders, you see your true top players, is when things are not going so well, when other teammates around you are struggling a little bit. And I just didn't see that at all today from United.
Can I also ask, in terms of leaders, do you see someone in the Manchester United side that isn't afraid to call out others when they make a mistake? I was listening to a great interview of Dion Dublin, and he was saying that was one asset of Manchester United and other big teams in the past. They have individuals that will point the finger, if need be, and say, you made a mistake, don't let it happen again. Do you see characters doing that in this side, René? And were there characters when you were there at Manchester United that actually did that?
Yeah, well, to answer the first question, I think, again, that's also been a massive difference that Bruno Fernandes has brought to the team. He's vocal, he's vibrant, he's bags of energy, and you see him talking and pointing and all that. And that's what he brings. Because you can see also before the arrival of Bruno Fernandes, again, it was the same problem that Mark just identified. There weren't the leaders that were supposed to be leaders. Like David De Gea, he's been there for so long, and Maguire comes in, but obviously he's just a new signing, and playing for Manchester United is just a different, kettle of fish than playing for any other team. They have to go into it. But leaderships, it is also part of your DNA. And in the past, like you just referred to, we had plenty of those, Adam, in that respect. We had, obviously, for my time when I obviously came to the club, obviously Roy Keane, when he was still there, obviously later on, there was Gary Neville, there was Ryan Giggs, there was Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic in his own way. Even Patrice Evra was a big leader, if you wouldn't know, but with his charisma and his personality. More than anything, they were all winners. They didn't accept failure. And that was being sort of illustrated every day in the training pitch and every time they stepped over the line and competing to win a game.
So they did actually call out other individuals. There was a famous incident, obviously, with Roy Keane. I think Rio talked about it in his book as well, where he gave that interview following a defeat, and then it was pulled from broadcast, and then Roy Keane left shortly after. Did players call each other out in the dressing room? Did you actively see that?
Well, to be fairly honest, I think the dressing room is for the players. And we made a conscious choice, to be fairly honest, as a staff of United. We sort of sometimes popped our head in the dressing room, or we needed a player or anything. But other than that, it's the players' domain. And it's important that the hierarchy there is being, managed by the players themselves. And I'm sure there have been some tough decisions and some tough discussions going on in the dressing room. Of course, in the games, when you are in the dressing room, obviously the manager is there, and then things would be addressed as well, mainly obviously by the manager. But players would know if they wouldn't have hit, the right standards, that they would have expected to meet. Then obviously they would have been disappointed, and they would have probably called each other out. But that's part and parcel of playing and competing at the very, very top.
Mark, what about your take as the ex-professional footballer here? I mean, you've played in some big dressing rooms. You played in Europe, you've played in World Cups, played in title-winning sides as well. I mean, someone like John Terry pops to mind. Was he calling out individuals? Was he a good example of a leader for you? Frank Lampard, who we just witnessed on the touchline today?
Yeah, Frank was always one of the quieter ones in the change room. He would lead by example more so on the football pitch. There would also be demands. He would not necessarily call players out, but he would demand success by the way he led himself. John Terry, yeah, absolutely. Didier Drogba. These guys would point to players, tell them, give them some harsh words, look at them, give them that look. Paul Ince at Middlesbrough, he used to come in and just unleash himself on people, also on the pitch. And it was more about trying to lift someone up when they made a mistake. And let them know, hey, that's not good enough. It's not at the level that we expect it to be. And it happened quite frequently. Danny Murphy was the same at Fulham. Clint Dempsey, you didn't want to cross-tip Clint Dempsey because he was just the angriest man in the world. Even more so at himself when he made a mistake. So, yeah, you need those players. You need the players that lead off the pitch, that lead also at the training ground, but you also need players that are not afraid on match day on the football pitch when they're, tens of thousands of people in the stadium, whether now there's obviously millions of people watching on TV, that are not afraid to point people out, to actually give people a G-along, to demand more. I just don't see that very often anymore.
Out of interest for both of you, do you see those type of characters in either side today, in either Chelsea or in Manchester United, apart from Bruno Fernandes?
Well, I think from Chelsea's point of view, I think there's quite a bit of experience in the team. Azpilicueta is definitely one of them. I think Alonso is an experienced player, is obviously one of them. Kovacic has been around. I think they've got a bit more personalities of that trade than I think Manchester United have, and especially today, they've had, like I said, they had a fantastic run with a lot of wins and no defeats, and really they were up against it today. And you would really want somebody, and especially again, you would come around again, and Pogba comes in, and you think to yourself, okay, now lift this team, lift everybody around you, and that doesn't seem to happen. So it is definitely something that United at the moment is lacking.
Interesting. I'm reminded of a comment I think Graham Souness gave maybe a week ago, or maximum 2 weeks, that Pogba doesn't want to be leader. The reason why he's doing well is because Fernandes is there. It's probably not what you want to hear, is it, Mark?
No, you don't, because I mean we all expected so much more from players like Paul Pogba, and he's a World Cup winner. He's got this guy's stature. He sort of waltzes in, and you want to see that on a football pitch all the time. You want to see it for 90 minutes. I'm yet to see him put in 90 minutes for Manchester United on a regular occasion. And I think that's the key. When you have a player at that level of that high expectation and doesn't deliver, it's frustrating for everyone. It's extremely frustrating. And Paul Pogba just does not do that. And you'd like him to see it. And I have to agree with Graham Souness. He has lifted his game once Bruno Fernandes has been there. I think Paul Pogba is a player that can play at world-class level, provided he has numerous other world-class players around him. On his own, I don't think he can reach those limits.
OK, my apologies. It was actually, I think, Roy Keane who gave that comment. On that note, though, should Manchester United continue to build from next season with Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in the middle of the park? What's your take, Mark, first? Well,
listen, I think Paul Pogba has shown enough with Bruno Fernandes in the team, if he's playing at that sort of level, that they can perform at that level. But the problem is he hasn't done it consistently enough, and that's the biggest issue for them. He needs to find some run of form. They're already talking about giving him a new contract, which I'm astounded by. I'm astounded that the guy only has to play a couple of games and play half well, and all of a sudden they talk about getting a new contract too. I mean, obviously the game's changed completely from when I was playing.
Which wasn't that long ago as well, I should add. Renee, what's your take? Can Manchester United build around Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in the middle of the park, amongst other players as well?
Yeah, well, it's really a strange thing that we discuss this, because they should. I mean, Fernandes is there. He's just came to the club. He will be there for many, many years. Pogba is constantly surrounded by these rumours. Does he want to stay? Does he not want to stay? He's got a contract still. I don't know, like Mark says, why do you want to offer him another contract? Is that to maybe protect the asset, and they expect again for maybe a Real Madrid or another club coming back in? They need to clarify that very, very quickly. It needs to be clear to everybody. Pogba is staying at United. If that's the case, yeah, because you want your best players on the pitch. All it needs to make it work, because that's your job as a manager and as a staff. And yes, like Mark said, we expect much more from him, and we need to create an environment and a situation within that team that's going to happen.
I've never heard Paul Pogba come out and say, I am a Man United player and I want to stay at Manchester United and I see my future here. He's only ever allowed. I haven't heard it. I mean, maybe he has. I mean, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard him say it. I've never seen him come out and say, I want to be at Manchester United for a long period of time. I want to have a lot of success here, and my future is here. Forget about anything else that's going on around.
But that's, Mark, a little bit where I was, hinting at. You know what I mean? Because it's the same thing over and over again, and it gets covered up now because Man United had a fantastic run. Nearly 20 games unbeaten. You know what I mean? And again, if they would have gone through today, it would have been fantastic. You've got an FA Cup to look forward to. Now it's not, and you will see Media, again, they will kick in, they will start asking questions, and this is one of those questions. Exactly, again, that. And because this is one of the questions, because something like what you just said has never really clearly come out to anybody. The fans wouldn't know. And that is, again, and it's difficult also for the manager to making sure, because he needs to build, you know, a stronger team next year that can compete, you know, against, again, the Liverpool, you know, the Man City, but also the Chelseas and the Arsenals again.